Thank you, Dr. Vikas, for delivering the Elizabeth Adiseshiah Memorial Lecture. May I now invite Professor Ajit Menon from MADS to introduce the Malcolm Adiseshiah awardee and deliver the award citation remarks.
Good afternoon. It's my great privilege and pleasure to briefly introduce the recipient of this year's Malcolm Adiseshiah Award winner and read the citation that goes along with this award. Professor Surinder Jodhka is a professor of sociology at Jawaharlal Nehru University, New Delhi. He researches and writes on different dimensions of social inequalities, contemporary dynamics of caste, agrarian change, rural India, and the political sociology of community identities. In addition to JNU, he has taught at universities of Hyderabad and Punjab. Amongst his many books are the following, either singly authored or co-edited or authored. Mapping the Elite Power, Privilege and Inequality, co-edited with Jules Naudet, Oxford University Press, 1991. Caste, Oxford India Short Introduction, OUP 2012. Caste in Contemporary India, Routledge 2015. The Indian Middle Class, co-authored with Asim Prakash, OUP 2016. Contested Hierarchies, Persisting Influence, Caste and Power in 21st Century India, co-edited with James Manner, Orient Black Swan 2017. India's Villages in the 21st Century, Revisits and Revisions, co-edited with Edward Simpson, OUP 2019. And most recently, I think, The Indian Village, Rural Lives in 21st Century, Aleph Books 2023. Professor Jodhka is also an editor of Routledge India book series on religion and citizenship and a co-editor of the OUP book series on exploring India's elite. He has been, over the last few decades, a fellow, Charles Wallace India Trust Fellow at Queen's University, Belfast, the UK, a South Indian Visiting Fellow, University of Oxford, 1997, Honorary Visiting Fellow, University of Wisconsin in 2002, Visiting Associate Professor at University of Bergen, Norway in 2005, and Visiting Professor, University of Lund in Sweden, 2012-13. His international collaborations have included, amongst many others, a country coordinator, Religions and Development Research Program at the University of Birmingham between 2006 and 2011, and a member of the Global Network on Inequality at Princeton University. In 2012, he was conferred with the ICSSR Amartya Sen Award for Distinguished Social Scientists. The citation reads as follows. Professor Surinder Singh Jodhka has provided historians and social scientists with an important handle with which to analyze all forms of hierarchy, with implications that are both Indian and global. With lucid theoretical exposition and admirable empirical research, he has demonstrated how caste, religion, ethnicity, nationality, and other social hierarchies are permanently fluid. Such shifting boundaries are the products of not merely globalization from the 1990s or the democratic mobilizations throughout the 20th century. Although his work is not specifically historical, it suggests that permeability should be sought throughout history, not merely in the context of modernization, industrialization, capitalism, and the sundry dramatic changes that have flowed over the landscape in the course of the past 2 centuries. It helps scholarship to unburden itself of the incubus of several colonial concepts that have acquired the fixity of prejudice. The first of these is tradition, which is commonly understood to be immutable. This fatal assumption has been critiqued ad infinitum, but it ceaselessly reappears in numerous guises in common parlance, political programs, and academic scholarship. As he has shown, caste and religion endlessly shift their bases, boundaries, and structures. They acquire variable functions, and their meanings to both members of such communities and others are never stable. This implies that tradition is a hypothesis and political ideology which must be explored for validity and potency. It cannot be an axiom that needs no more illustration. The other major contribution, informed by considerable empirical research, is that caste is not necessarily an instance of Indian exceptionalism. It structures a social hierarchy, among others, like race, religion, and ethnicity. Its specific features may be unique to India, and in India there are several types of caste structures. But the fact of a given and fluid hierarchy is to be found across the globe, especially in race. Here, America provides an inexhaustible fund of theory and detailed investigation that illumine the problem. Thus, both caste and race are divided into classes, but class analysis comes up short very soon. A poor white in America enjoys a far wider range of opportunities than an equally poor African American, and often enough than even a better off one. In the same vein, a poor upper caste Indian enjoys comparative advantages over a low caste person, whether poor or not so poor. Similarly, membership of a race, religion, nationality, or more broadly of a community could hound such groups however much they might seek to escape its baleful effects, as the assimilated Jews of Europe discovered to their dismay during the Nazi regime. The contours of Jewish community life may have shifted throughout the 19th century and into the 20th. Large numbers may have given up being Jews, but they were punished as Jews, not because of tradition, but for being a nationality without a sovereign state. Traditional anti-Semitism had been transformed unrecognizably into its modern variant, in which only the word remained without its content. This leads to Professor Jodhka's third major thesis, that modernization and capitalism, with all their attendant processes, do not dissolve these identities and communities into homogenized citizenship, as fondly imagined by far too many academics and laymen. These identities may change endlessly, like the chameleon its colors, or mythical creatures their shapes at night. But as long as agents are invested in such identities, they retain their vigor or acquire other incarnations. These are the products of decisions by actors, both within and without such communities, not because of a theodicy, tradition, or inertia. These and related theses are invaluable contributions, especially because they are backed up by intensive research over several decades in books like Caste in Contemporary India, along with a large number of penetrating articles accompanied by edited volumes like Community and Identities, Contemporary Discourses on Culture and Politics in India, or Contested Transformation, Changing Economies and Identities in Contemporary India. In recognition of Professor Surinder Singh Jodhka's scholarly contributions to some of the most intractable problems of Indian social structure, a panel of juries comprising Professor P.J. Babu, Vice-Chancellor of Vidyashilp University, Bengaluru, Professor Chandan Gowda, Professor, Institute for Social and Economic Change, Bengaluru, and Professor Madhavan K. Palit, former Professor of History and General Editor of the Collected Works of Nehru, JNU, New Delhi, have nominated him for the Malcolm Adiseshiah Award for Distinguished Contribution to Development Studies, and the award is presented to him on this day, 18th of October, 2024 in Chennai. Please join me in congratulating Professor Jodhka.
Professor, for introducing us the Malcolm Adiseshiah Awardee, I'd now like to invite Professor Selvaraj, the chairperson of M&A Trust, to present the Malcolm Adiseshiah Award to Professor Surinder Singh Jodhka.